everybody. Welcome to another exciting video. My name is Uyobong Jonah. I'm an associate with Lex-Praxis. On today's video, we'll be talking about estate planning and how it concerns business owners. We live in a country where we find that where somebody has probably amassed wealth, and upon the person's demise, you find family members fighting over the estate of the deceased. And we have the likes of the late Herbert Wigwe, and also internationally we have Hakimi. Although in his case he's still alive, but he had to take the smart move um, by giving all his property or bequeathing his properties to his mother. So on today's episode, I am not alone. I have with me a seasoned lawyer. She's an expert in corporate and commercial law. I have with me Mrs. Cynthia Tishon. You're welcome, Ma. Thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Hello, Uyobong, and hello to everyone watching this video. Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to have you on this series.
All right, let's dive right into the subject matter. What is estate planning?
Okay, so in simple terms, estate planning refers to the process of transferring your assets or your properties to your beneficiaries, right? In the event that you are incapacitated or you are deceased or dead. So estate planning is not necessarily restricted to preparing a will, but you can also make plans to transfer your assets or dispose of your assets even while you are alive for reasons such as being incapacitated or just retired, right? So yeah, that's what estate planning is all about. So it's a broader picture. It goes beyond preparing a will. Yeah.
Okay, we are going to talk about the types, if possible, but let's bring it home to business owners. How is it important to business owners? Like, as a business owner, if I'm a business owner, I would like to know, how is it important to me to create an estate plan?
So estate planning is important for entrepreneurs for so many reasons. Number one, it helps with providing security for when it comes to the welfare of your loved ones. If you're a family person and you have children who are not yet adults, what estate planning does for you is that it makes or takes care of their future, right? Even while you are alive or you're deceased, right? So it creates security or security systems around the future welfare of your beloved ones. Another reason why estate planning is very important is that it also gives peace of mind, especially for you, where you have people that are depending on you. You are very concerned about how they are going to keep faring. And even if you are not able to keep running your business, operating your business the way you would have done when you started, to a large extent, it gives you that safety and peace of mind that, okay, in the event that this business, I can no more run this business the way I would have loved to, I've set something aside for even myself and for the welfare of those who will be dependent on me or looking up to me, even when I'm not, running the business. Another reason why it's very important for entrepreneurs is that estate planning helps with minimizing tax liabilities or exposure to tax. There are certain kinds of exemptions that could come by depending on the structure or the kind of estate plan strategy you go into that has some kind of tax exemption. So yes, estate plan is important for these and many more reasons.
Okay, so based on this, which structure is the most recommended or suitable for an estate plan? I mean, as an entrepreneur, I would like to know, do I need to have a company or a limited liability partnership in order to be able to create an estate plan?
Okay, you don't necessarily need to have a limited liability or a business name to create an estate plan. Like I said, estate plan has to do with disposing of your assets, right? However, in a situation where you also are concerned about the management of your business, the future management of your business, or your interests in your business, right? For instance, your business is, making profits and all, and you want to make plans for succession and decision making, make room for that. A good business structure that can accommodate that kind of scenario is a limited liability company. Let's take the Harvard waste scenario, for instance, right? Access Bank is a company, right? And he's no more, but the company is still running. And one of the things he did is that he also transferred his interest in terms of his shares, right? His stake in Access Bank to his beneficiaries, right? So in that kind of scenario, what that does is that the beneficiaries, his children or his loved ones, the people he gave that to, will be able to make certain levels of decisions when it comes to the operations and management of Access Bank to a large extent, right? And they will also be entitled to the benefits that originally he was entitled to while he was alive. They will now be entitled to it. A business name, on the other hand, does not make provisions for things like that when it comes to management, succession, and handing over of your assets or stake. So, in that regards, having a limited liability will be a perfect fit. However, when it comes to other things, other distribution and management of your other assets like landed properties, money in the bank, and all, you don't need a structure for that, right? So, I hope I've been able to strike a balance when it comes to that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. So now that we've heard, okay, at least what estate planning is all about and the most recommended. Yes, we've established that. So we are building momentum for those that are already eager to know, okay, yes, you're making sense. How do I go about this? So can you tell us the steps that one needs to take in order to create an estate plan? And then probably you can chip in the types of estate plans that we have out there available in Nigeria currently or even internationally.
Okay, sure. So, if you're considering starting or creating a plan for your estate, one of the things you need to do, the first thing you need to do is to make or have an assessment of your assets. What do you have that you want to dispose of currently? Do you have land? Do you have money in the bank? Do you have insurance policies and things like that that you want to give out? Um, have a proper assessment, right? And the second thing is to start the transfer process. So, in other words, just know who are you giving what to, right? Know who you want to give something to and what are you giving to them. The third point is, if possible, as much as possible, speak with a financial planner or get advice with an estate planning attorney to advise you on or what an estate planning attorney or a financial investor or planner will help you do is to help you create an actual plan depending on your peculiar need or depending on what you want to achieve in this scenario. They can help you come up with a plan that protects you, protects your present interests, protects things like your tax concerns. They draw up that plan, you know, and also advise you on the various mechanisms that will be suitable for whatever it is you want to achieve when it comes to planning your estate, right? The fourth thing you need to do after that is ensure that every document that is related to transferring of assets is properly to sign it. So in this situation, I'm talking about in cases where maybe you have a will, a written will, right? Ensure that it is signed by the people who needs to sign it, the executors. In a situation where you have a form, a life insurance form or policy, ensure that it is properly signed, right, and documented, and also that these documents are properly kept in a place that it can be accessed by whoever needs to access it when the need arises, right? Now, the final step is to ensure that even while you are alive, update your documents. So if you have an insurance policy that you got and maybe your next of kin, at the time you got it was your father, and you're listening to this video, now is the right time to go and update that form if you're married, right? Yeah, so basically just update your documents from time to time. If you acquire more assets that you need to include in maybe your will, go and do what needs to do. You can have a codicil drafted as an attachment to the will. So just ensure that you do updates from time to time. I think. And then in terms of the various mechanisms with which estate planning can be achieved, like I said earlier, estate planning is not limited to creating a will alone, right? So you can create an estate plan through a trust, a living trust. There are many asset management firms that have packages in that regard, right? So you can create a living trust for that purpose. There are many companies that you can speak with. They will advise you on the packages that are obtainable depending on what you want to achieve. For instance, if you want to set up a structure that ensures that your children are taken care of when it comes to going to school, maybe you want to sponsor the education to maybe a PhD level, even when you are no more, yeah, there are packages for that. So there is a living trust. Another system or mechanism for setting up an estate plan is also with insurance policies. You can purchase insurance policies in which the beneficiary of that policy has access to it only when you are deceased or no more. Another mechanism is through a deed of gift. So if you have landed properties or other kind of assets that you want to dispose of to beneficiaries or people that you think would have need of it, even while you are alive, you can have a deed of gift prepared in that regard. So there are so many mechanisms that you can take care of or you can take advantage of. But I think I've listed at least as much as we can take advantage of before this video.
Yes, you really done justice to it. I like that you mentioned that it's not only restricted to making a will. You can have a life insurance, you can have a mutual fund, and the likes. So thank you so much for taking your time to address that point. And you also mentioned the need for an expert because I know a lot of people ignorantly and they may just think that okay, I can just walk into an institution and request for a form and all of that without necessarily employing the services of an expert or consulting an expert. So it's important that in creating an estate plan, you either engage the services of a lawyer or a financial expert to help guide you, and even an insurance expert in that regard. So let's talk about the misconceptions. We find that in our African setting, people they don't even want to hear death. They don't want to hear that, oh, okay, one day they're going to die. It's like a bad omen for so many people. So others believe that creating a will is only meant for the bourgeoisies, the people in the high class, rich, wealthy. So I would like us to talk about the misconceptions of estate planning and also how we can cure these misconceptions that people have concerning estate planning.
Okay, sure. So one of the misconceptions about estate planning is that estate planning is just all about has to do with just preparing a will alone, right? But like I said earlier, estate planning goes beyond writing a will. There are various mechanisms apart from preparing a will that involves estate planning, such as creating a living trust, purchasing policies and the likes, right? Giving a gift, right? So that's all part of estate planning. So it's a broader picture when it comes to transferring assets, right? Another misconception is that estate planning is for the wealthy or the high net worth individuals, but that's wrong. Even the high net worth individuals who have genuinely been able to make it to achieve what they have achieved today or accumulated wealth to the extent they have done today, they started from somewhere. Like financial investors would advisors will tell you, there is what you call the power of compounding, right? So imagine someone who had knowledge about estate planning and they need to invest, have assets in, let's say, in the 1980s or in the 1990s, as at the time when the naira was stable, and his age mates didn't take any step, and the person is learning about it now and wants to start. Do you know the gap in terms of accomplishment in that regard, right? I mean, now that the naira is kind of interesting at the moment at all. So it's about, you know, compounding. Start with where you are, start from where you are, start with what you have, start building assets, start accumulating and getting information and knowledge about what this is all about. And you don't need to be, another misconception is that it's for the elderly, like people that are old. Estate planning is not only for the elderly. You can be a young person. I mean, young people die these days, and there are many young, high net worth individuals, right? These days, you can also make plans for that. You don't need to be an elderly person before you start talking about estate planning, right? Um, Another misconception, especially in this part of the world, do not like to talk about death or losing a loved one. So they just don't want to talk about that subject. But the truth of the matter is that so long as you're living on earth and the earth remains, we will pass and die one day. So it's just all about having a consciousness that you have the limited time on earth and doing what you need to do to ensure that even when you go, you leave an indelible mark in the lives of the people that you leave behind. So I think that about sums it up when it comes to misconceptions. And I hope that with this video, I've been able to address that misconception going forward. Yeah.
Yes, I like that you said that some people think that it's for the elderly, it's for um, our parents at home, our folks, but young person, a
Yeah.
student who is into businesses, we are very particular about entrepreneurs. You can go into estate planning, you can create and amass wealth for yourself. I like that some platforms like Piggyvest and Bamboo, they are creating opportunities where people can invest their monies and get return on investment. So that is very important. So let's talk about the risk. Before we talk about the risk, let's analyze the case of the late Herbert Wigwe. So you find that the father and one of his cousins went to court and they alleged that there was mismanagement, even when he had appointed personal representatives and trustees to safeguard, manage, and dispose of his estate. So I can't even imagine with the kind of legacy that he left behind and the businesses and companies. I can't even imagine if he didn't make a will or a trust in place to cover his children, especially the fact that three of them are minors, only one is an adult. So let's talk about the risk. It's very important at this point that we address the risk, like what are the risks involved in not having an estate plan, because I'm sure that a lot of business people are probably wondering, well, it doesn't concern me as long as I have my daily income at the end of the month or at the end of the week or daily, I'm covered. But what about your loved ones? So let's talk about the risk now. But before we talk about the risk, let's look at the case of the late Herbert Wigwe. So I can't even imagine with the legacy that he has left behind, I can't even imagine a situation where he did not create a will and a trust. He did not just create a will, he created a trust to better solidify, and to protect his beneficiaries. So we find a lot of business owners thinking, okay, so long as I have my daily income and I'm able to currently take care of the needs of my family members, then I'm covered. I'm not sure many people think about the aftermath, maybe after they are gone, what happens to their beneficiaries and family members, or even their aged parents. So let's talk about the risk. What's the risk of not creating a valid estate plan?
The peace of mind. Okay. So the peace of mind that comes with knowing that what you wanted in terms of the transfer of your assets, that your wish was fulfilled or your wish is being carried out is enough reason to want to create that estate plan. let's go back to the Herbert Hoover scenario, right?
Yeah.
He wrote the will, he did everything that needs to be done. If he was alive, it would have still been carried out. And most importantly, he is no more, but his wish is still carried out. Third parties are respecting his wish. The court is respecting his wish. I mean, that sums it up, right? Now, it also talk the interest, the fact that it also creates systems around the welfare and the security of welfare of your dependents. Let's say you have children, and this is what you want happen to them in terms of their welfare, and you have put in systems and structures in that regard, right? You can be certain that they are secured in terms of their welfare, right? Another thing is that you can also, I mean, it's also a way of you're killing two birds with one stone. Let's look at it this way. When you create an estate plan, the estate plan is not just there. It's especially in a secured system like a trust or even an insurance policy, right? Let's say accumulating and it's still there. So it's serving two purposes. The money or the asset is still there, and it's also accumulating and meeting up with modern times. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you're killing two birds with one
Yeah.
stone. Imagine if you're not doing that. Imagine if you're not doing that. There is no assets to be kept, and then even there's no investment that is whose value is accumulated over time, right? So I mean, why do you want to lose out on that? So, and then just maximizing tax benefits as well. As a business owner, you need to look for credible, creative, and legal ways of taking advantage of opportunities, financial opportunities, maximizing exemptions and opportunities that accrue to your business. Estate planning is one of them. There are, like I said earlier, there are certain kinds of tax benefits and exemptions you get even when your business is structured in a way that is creating an investment and estate plan. So why don't you want to take advantage of it? So when you look at all this, I mean, you should seriously consider that as a business owner.
Yes, thank you so much for taking your time to address the risks involved in not creating an estate plan. Because, like I said, a lot of people do not consider what happens to their family members even after their death. It's not enough to just have a business in place, but what can your beneficiaries bank on or rely on even after you're gone? So that's a food for thought. And I believe that after this video, many of our business owners, entrepreneurs will take into consideration the need to create an estate plan. So lastly, before we wrap up, what's your advice to entrepreneurs, business owners that are about to start or yet to start, and even those that have an estate plan in place, but they are seeking to improve on it? So what's your advice to them?
Start now. You own a business, the business is running, is thriving, it's making profit. Start now. If you do not have an asset, start thinking about having assets, right? Even beyond creating an estate plan, at this in this time and age, it's not enough for you to just be doing business for the purpose of making profit. You need to start thinking about your business generating passive income. I mean, there is more money to be made. So start now. Create assets. Get advice. Get advice from financial planners. They will show you opportunities that your business can maximize and take advantage of, even when it comes to creating an estate plan for your loved ones as well. So start now, get advice. And if you are already in the system, keep at it, update your documents, go back and look at all those ones you've gotten, all those assets you've gotten recently. Are they all covered in your estate plan? The assets you acquired, are the information, or is the information on those forms or documents up to date, right? So just start now, get advice. You can speak with any financial planner. They would advise you in terms of creating a financial plan to when it comes to generating assets and making investments that can be transferred. And then the lawyer comes in, or the estate planning attorney comes in when it comes to providing advice on the legal instruments, right, for transferring certain kinds of assets depending on what it is. Estate planning attorneys can also help with advising in taxes as well as financial advisors. So get all the information you need and start now.
All right. Thank you so much for taking your time to address this issue. And it was indeed a pleasure having you on this particular episode. So, in a nutshell, we have talked about the types, we talked about what an expert plan is, the types of expert plans, the need for an expert, including the risk and misconceptions. So, I mean, who don't have this and not take a step? So please, business owners, entrepreneurs, even if you're a student and you're into business, please take steps to create an estate plan for yourself. Do not wait until you're done with school. Do something today. So thank you so much, Mark, for coming on today's episode. We truly appreciate your presence. Till we come your way next time, do well to subscribe to our channel. In fact, the fact that you came and you attended this video, this session, and you stayed up until this point, it means you find this video educative. So please click on the subscription button, like, share, comment, engage us. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section and we'll do well to attend to you. Till we come your way next time, bye bye.
Bye.